Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and any friends from beyond the binary, before I welcome Simon onto the stage properly, can I ask a favour from you? Can I get you to lock eyes with somebody close to you and come to the silent agreement that you will be doing something together before the end of this talk? Ominous, I know. Please give a warm welcome and a round of applause for Simon.
Thank you, Tony. I better get near where the slides change, hadn't I? We've had our request. That's my folks. That's Mum and Dad, and a nasty Jack Russell called George, who I never got on with. My parents left the army in the mid-70s. They moved our family down to Cornwall. Dad was commuting from Salisbury, still in the army, and decided, that's it, I'm finished. Took his redundancy to Cornwall. He bought 2 little holiday cottages in a little fishing village called Porthleven in West Cornwall. They did them up themselves with no help from their children. They then looked around, bought 2 more, did the same thing again. But Dad, being smart, realised that actually the bricks and mortar is not really a business. The agency, so holiday letting agents, which is the means of booking and marketing the holiday cottages, that's where the business was. And I was talking to Jamie from Anglesey, and he said, my mates kept asking me, you let one, can you do mine as well? It's exactly what happened to them way back in the 70s, and they grew this business. In those days, it was called Cornish Cottages. They sold the 4 holiday cottages, turned that into the working capital to start the agency. I joined it in 1990, came back from London, and we've heard about the sort of Cornish leaving and coming back. Came back from London, and the idea was to take it from 250 to 500 properties. 5-year plan, took 10 years. That business was based on some key founding principles. 1, quality. Be prepared to say no. Slow your growth, but in the end, you've got a better founded business. And they had a phrase in Cornwall, "'Twill do for visitors," i.e. ship out all the old furniture from Granny and shove it in the holiday cottage. Well, for the folks, it actually wouldn't do, and they made the brave decision saying, no, we're going for a quality market. It's not what we'd know as quality now, because it was the 70s, but they said, no, we're only going to go for quality. They understood it was a people business. Even then, they had hundreds of owners, thousands of guests. It's a people business. It takes time. It requires trust. So it takes time and consistency to build that sort of trust. And they understood that, and they were prepared to kick to it for the long term. The other bit was place. Yeah, they moved to Cornwall for a reason. They love Cornwall. You don't want to do business in Cornwall and wreck it. So it was really important to them to preserve the bits of Cornwall that we all love. And one of the key things then, and I think Lee from the council leader referred to it, was seasonality. You don't want to cram all your guests into August and then be empty for the rest of the time. It's bad for infrastructure, bad for the guests, bad for the local population. So at the very beginning, right, let's spread the season. Let's work into the shoulders. So I don't overdo my time. I'm going to strip you straight forward to 2026. That little business that started as Cornish Cottages, became Classic Cottages to go all the way over the Tamar and to venture into Devon, is now a multi-brand group, including a range of different brands. We have 200 employees, over 200 employees. We have over 2,000 properties. They go from Land's End all the way to the Isle of Skye, via Cape Wrath, and of course, the Isle of Man. The interesting transition for the business that it is no longer dependent on family or some sort of charismatic leader. It's an entity in its own right. It has its own character, its own values, its own way of thinking, its own way of being. And that was a very conscious decision that we had to stand the business on its own two legs. One of the critical parts of that journey, which was another 5-year plan that took 10, was our futures board. We could have appointed a sustainability officer who'd go around nagging people. We could have been issuing mission statements from our ivory tower. Instead, we decided to pull together a board of people, quite often the youngest people across the various brands in the group, and pull them together into a board. And it was a simple remit: think about the future. Not next year, not the year after that, 10, 20 years. It's, how are my kids going to be buying? And they were kind of my kids' age, which ages us. But that was the idea of it, is to look way into the future. And it's kind of a theme within the business. We've been around for almost 50 years. We're good at looking a long way, and we have patience. It was quite wild, wide-ranging, very energetic, but a bit like herding cats. Is, right, how do we control this? It's too much. We needed to focus it down. That focus came from going with the B Corp framework, which gave us some sort of structure within which to do our thinking and dreaming. It also locked us into a long-term plan, which was a commitment from the owners of the company, from the staff, from everyone involved, to keep improving, to keep doing better. So it was profit, people, place. And you've got to think of all three. So that's the little journey, well, a synopsis of the journey we've been on. I'm going to hand it on to the people who really did it, especially Annie, to take you through and put some flesh on the bones and describe that journey in a bit more detail, with the idea that there might be others out there who want to think about doing something different, something similar. Over to Annie.
Thank you, Simon. So yes, we have properties all over the UK and the Isle of Man, but we are absolutely still Cornish to our core. For example, in 2025, we paid over £2.8 million to Cornish businesses. We engaged with over 1,500 Cornish suppliers, and we didn't click it hard enough, and we welcomed over 100,000 visitors to Cornwall so that they could create lasting memories in a place that we love. And we look very much forward to saying the same thing about the Isle of Man in years to come as we grow.
25, there's 14% of our sales were for special places. These are unique hideaways, the glamping stays that you will have seen all over social media. And interestingly, 78% of those sales came from new customers to us as a business. And that highlights that there is a growing need and want for regenerative stays within nature. People want to be connected to the environment around them. And the Isle of Man and all of the Celtic nations are probably best placed in the world to take advantage of this. And here on the mainland, it is the quality and sustainability narrative that threads through every single part of the narrative that you put out into the world that really, really supports this. Now, these unique hideaways are a great opportunity. They are low impact, often movable structures that allow landowners and farmers to generate revenue from their land outside of farming. They do need to let the soils regenerate, after all, in between plantings. Now, if you look at the amount of visitors that will come to the island and for Cornwall as well, you can see that we do see orders of magnitude nearly increase in visitors over the year. And this is because, in no small part, because of the UNESCO sites. Here, the entire island is effectively a UNESCO site. And in reality, the 17 that we see in Cornwall are all linked to our mining heritage. I count that as one. It's almost impossible to separate the mining chimney stacks from the rest of the environment around. There are so many of them. Now, these are numbers that we should look to increase. especially given there is a £762 spend per visitor per trip. That's a lot of money that we can bring into our respective places. And if you map that 14% of stays for glamping and special places to this island, it's easy to see that we can take a significant step towards the island's 500,000 visitor goal by 2032. It is these people who want these stays that care that this island is working towards being carbon neutral by 2050. So that's the big picture. These are the things that got us to where we are with these numbers. But what did we do as a business to arrive here?
So for us, we started our journey about 5 years ago with the creation of our future board to help protect and enhance 3 core pillars. People, place, and prosperity. Because for us, it has never been just about recycling. It has been about making everything more considered, whether that is the suppliers that we work with or the communities and the landscapes that we live and work in. But what is the Future Board? It is a self-selecting group of people from across all brands in the business. And we have a wide range of people within the group, whether that's people that have only just joined or that people that have been with the company for over 15 years. And this diversity helps to push things forward. Ideas are challenged, inspiration turns into actionable ideas, and the passion of individuals trickles down throughout the company, increasing awareness and engagement. On a personal note, I became the chair of the Future Board around 2 years ago when we were in the midst of our B Corp application. I had no experience of chairing a group of people or leading anybody anywhere. I did not want to do it, and that is exactly why I did, because it was a challenge. It would help me grow as a person and gain confidence and experience. It is also why I agreed to do this talk, because again, and I cannot stress this enough, I did not want to do it. And that is again why I thought I probably should. And I mention this not just to make myself appear a hero, which I am. I mention this because I think it's a valuable point for businesses, that when you are faced with decisions, especially ones that have a conscious consideration or outcome, and you don't want to do it, whether because of finance, difficulty, manpower, if you don't want to do it, it probably means you should. For us, a recent example was with our new eco office. We installed a ground source heat pump. Definitely not the cheap choice, definitely not the easy choice, but definitely the right choice because it took us in the direction of becoming a more sustainable company. One of the core ways that the Future Board help to improve the communities and the landscapes that surround us is through volunteering. Each of us get 3 days of volunteering per year. And on paper, it is a fantastic idea because you get to have some time out of the office, away from your desk, often in nature and often with snacks and lunch provided. Perfect, great deal. And yet it is surprisingly hard to keep the momentum up. And we have found a few ways to help improve this. Make it simple, make it easy, make it habitual, and make it fun. For example, we have found that having volunteering surrounding adorable things like donkeys or horses gets a fantastic, fantastic turnout. So now, as a company, we focus on business-wide opportunities, so actually providing all of the information, organizing the events ourselves, so that people don't have to spend time out of their general roles to go and do the research themselves. They can just turn up, do some good, and go home. And so far, we have gone from a grand total of 11 volunteering days used in 2022 to just over 80 in 2024. And we look forward to seeing this number grow as we continue to push the initiative forward.
Are we volunteering to do this?
I think so.
Okay. At the same time as the Futures Board, the Charity Council was founded, and its purpose is to help the company invest a chunk of our profits into the communities that make us thrive. Over the last 5 years, we've invested £193,000 into these communities, And that's nice to say, but it kind of hides the impact we have. So the middle photo is the theatre seats that we sponsored for the local kids theatre group. And this is where our nieces, nephews and children are learning confidence and stage skills, which are going to take them through the rest of our life. The football team, whose kits we sponsor, they're learning teamworking skills and health and fitness things that will hopefully go with them through the rest of their lives. And if you've ever been to Cornwall, you will know the Cornish pasty is almost 90% of our identity. But with the change in eating habits, kids are no longer learning how to make them through osmosis. So, to put that right and to keep that Celtic heritage alive, we support charities that go around to schools to actually teach kids how to make these pasties. Now, it was through the founding of these two things that Simon realised, as well as others in the business, that we are actually B Corp without the label. So what is B Corp? B Corp is a accreditation program that allows you to be verified to say that you have met very, very high standards of social and environmental performance, transparency, and accountability. If you go to the website, they'll use a lot more words to say that, but that is effectively what it is. For us as a business and people within them, when I asked the team around me what we care about, we cared about 4 items in particular. That was our environmental stewardship, the fair working environment, being able to make an impact on the climate, and being a purpose-driven business. These are 4 of the 7 areas of B Corp that sit upon a foundational 3 that every business needs to have. Now, with those, it gave Annie and the Futures Board a great starting point for the B Corp journey we were about to go on.
So yes, it started with a decision that was actually a fairly simple one, to go after a B Corp accreditation, because we felt that it's so perfectly aligned with lots of things that we were already doing. In the early stages, we as a group split up into pairs and each took different sections of the assessment to work through things a bit more diligently. We spent months going through the questions, finding gaps in our operations, and finding ways to improve our score. But the thing that got us the most points was actually just formalising policies, because we were doing a lot of things already that just weren't written into the foundations of the business. The tipping point. We were close, but we did not feel ready. And spoiler alert, you will never feel ready. Our personal tipping point came with Chris Hines from Surface Against Sewage coming in for a day with the board to talk through things.
Hello, Isle of Man. My name's Chris Hines, and I'm here to reinforce the brilliant work that Sapphire Holidays do and to recount that moment in their B Corp journey where I urged them to kind of commit and bring all of their skills and all the knowledge that they'd already got and just put that into their application with a drive and a pace and an urgency, the same urgency and pace that we need to bring to addressing the climate and biodiversity crises facing us as a species and as a planet. Hope you have a great conference. Bye.
So yeah, Chris sat with us and went through each section, encouraging us to boast, to confidently place ourselves higher up the rankings than we had been, because we had been timidly lowballing ourselves at every single turn. And at the end of the day, we were so enthused by Chris's attitude that we hit submit, and so came the free fall. And I cannot express how much it did feel like free falling at times. We hit submit, thinking it would be ages until we were given an assessor. B Corp had a waiting list. We had time. We did not have time. We were given an assessor in what felt like record time, and before we knew it, we had to evidence all of the enthusiastic claims we had just submitted. Thankfully, B Corp was super understanding and were incredibly helpful and allowed us extra time when we needed it. But it was still a lot of work. It was a lot of sifting through data and files to find answers and evidence. It was panic, it was hurrying, and it was staring blankly at Excel sheets, thinking, why on earth did we take this leap? Until we stuck the landing. We got through, we passed, and we celebrated. We did it, and I know it will remain a sense of pride for every single person on the board that helped us get there.
Now, pride is great, but we want some facts and figures, don't we, folks? They are a tough crowd, Addy. Out of the 7 impact areas, there are 3 that we care about most as a business, and people within them, should I say. Now, it's worth noting at this point that if you were going to go through this accreditation, you wouldn't actually get a score like this. And that's in no small part because this score doesn't look that great, despite the fact that we are well above average for a new B Corp. What it does give you is a checklist of targeted directional decisions that you can take in the years ahead to move towards becoming the ultimate B Corp, if that is such a thing. I feel like they should put us in a ring to fight out for that title. The first one I want to focus on out of those is the workers. We scored really well in this next one. And if we focus in on flexible working, having flexible working policies is part of B Corp. But they do have business outcomes as well. If you want to improve job satisfaction by 1/3, reduce quit rate by 1/3, all whilst having no negative impact on business outputs, then having a flexible work policy might be for you. And that's slightly surprising, given that you'll regularly see a team of software developers leave the office to go surfing at lunchtime. Now, if you are looking to grow a business, you are 29% more likely to receive an application from an individual if you have these policies in place. And everybody likes to make it easy to hire new people, don't we, folks? I feel like they could have done better, but we'll go with it. All right. Community is the next one, and we've spoken about this, so I'm not going to labour the point. But there is a strong positive association between corporate philanthropy and financial performance. But you only get these improvements if it's imbued in the actual company. It can't just be making lip service for this. It needs to be a strong part of your culture. If it's not, you don't get the benefits. And with the environment, there are a few things here. And I want to highlight this because this is only the kind of stuff that businesses do if they're thinking long term. If you're looking to sell your business in 2 years' time, you might not choose to put solar panels on your roof because they've got a 10-year payoff. And because there are other business benefits. It actually makes it easier to hire new people if you have these kind of sustainability credentials in place. And we all like hiring new people, don't we, folks? They're getting better. I like it.
So, what actually happened after we achieved our B Corp accreditation? We made some small changes. We swapped from Starbucks and Lavazza coffee to a local roaster that is just 20 minutes away. We swapped to B Corp brands wherever possible, whether that's hand soap or toilet paper. We also made some big changes. We finished the work on our exciting new eco office, which is even more eco than the office before, with a ground source heat pump, rainwater toilets, and solar panels from day one. And perhaps most importantly, B Corp has strengthened our relationship with like-minded companies. It led to us welcoming Island Escapes into the Sapphire Holidays family. And why were they a natural fit?
It is because they too were B Corp without the label, just like most of this island. They were making directional decisions towards this end goal before they even realised it was a goal, quite likely. Now, this is part of the culture here on the Isle of Man. And it's imbued into them as a team. They help people renovate properties into revenue-generating assets. And if you know the life cycle of a holiday cottage, that will turn into a proper home at some point in the future. They're moving towards EV vehicle charging when the infrastructure is in place. They support the biosphere through actions and donations. And we can exclusively say today that they are going to be one of the first companies in the UK and the Isle of Man that performs all of their laundry via a solar-powered setup. That means that every single piece of linen that they wash helps this island meet its carbon neutral targets, which is really, really amazing. Now, do you remember that person? This is where we're going to hand it over to you. You've heard all about us, but in a second, I'm going to ask you a question. And after I ask that question, I'm going to give you 60 seconds to discuss the answer with the person that you locked eyes with. So, what is your question? What easy choice can you make as an organization or business to adopt a B Corp mindset? Have a think, get the answer in your head. What easy choice can you make as a business or organization to adopt a B Corp mindset? And this is that moment, folks. Time for you to talk to each other. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I love hearing you chatting. But we are 4 seconds over time, but seeing as you took a minute of our time, we're going to take another minute. Sorry, organisers. So, Annie, what can they do?
Well, you can do exactly what you have just enthusiastically told the person next to you. They will now be checking up on you to make sure you have done it over the next coming weeks, months, or year. So basically, yeah, will you answer the call? Will you go and do something that makes you, whether or not you follow the B Corp accreditation or not, lead a better path towards a more sustainable future for everyone? Thank you very much.